This video, I want to talk about why you should never sell yourself short. So I'll give you 5 reasons why you should not do this. The first one is you need to live, you need to eat. Now, there's a really famous article that came out on Forbes, and it's called No, You Can't Pick My Brain. And basically the whole article talks about, people taking people out for coffee, saying, can I take you for coffee and pick your brains? So why should you do that? Because you've got to pay for training, buy books, attend seminars, networking, you got to pay for memberships for networking, you've got to put in lots of hours. So why should you give that away all the way for free? Why should you spend all this money learning all this stuff and then only to just give it to somebody for free? And what happens if you give something to someone for free, then guess what? They don't value it. And I can't tell you the countless of times I've sat down with people, giving them business advice, and I see them 6 months, 12 months later. Hey, did you do what I told you to do? Oh yeah, I'm still thinking about it. Actually, when people pay, they pay attention. Number 2, when you're actually selling something, do you actually know your worth? Like, how much are you worth? The general rule is you take up all your assets, all your liabilities, subtract them, and you see what you have left. Most people have everything negative. So you look at how much money you earn an hour as well. Like, if you take your salary divided by 220 days, divided by 8 hours, it'll work out how much your hourly rate is worth. And also as well, if your net worth every year increases, like, you got to look at what helps that increase. Let's say most of you right now, you're watching this, you're like, well, John, I don't know my worth. One way to know your worth is to upskill yourself. When you invest money in yourself, guess what? You're now worth more money because you're putting in new knowledge in here. Like, if you look at when doctors invest all that money, or when people go to an MBA and they spend over 100 grand in an MBA, and now they work for a big corporation, guess what? They're on a high salary. They can command more money because they've got more qualifications, so to speak. Number 3 is that you can have knowledge that you charge for. A lot of people, they've got all this knowledge, but they're giving it all the way for free. Remember, no, you can't pick my brains for free, right? You have to pay. When people pay, they pay attention. My question to you is, what knowledge do you have? So you might have general knowledge, you might have specialized knowledge. So do you have any specialized knowledge? You go, well, John, I don't have any specialized knowledge. For example, there's people who play games now who have specialized knowledge of walking through a game or a level and getting to the next level, and they get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for that. There's some people who put education on the internet and on YouTube, and they get paid for that. Myself, I charge a high fee for consulting because I've spent millions and millions and millions of dollars testing what works, what doesn't work. I listed a company on the stock exchange, and their valuations valued at 30 million euros, right? I've had years, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in my head, attending courses over the last 10 years, and hours and hours and hours. So that's why I can charge that much more money, because I've got a proven track record and I've got the proof of the pudding is in the pie. So when people come to me about growing a brand, they can see how big my brand is. I say, look, I've been featured in Forbes, and so people want to know exactly how I grew millions of followers and how I got to that and how I tested things. So you got to know your worth. So you want to start writing down all the things that qualifies you to be able to give these people knowledge on what you have or your products and services. Even if you've been in business for over 15 or 20 years, the longer you've been in business, the more experience you have, guess what? So you can charge more money. The more credentials you have, guess what? You can charge more money. If you're an author like I'm an author of this book called Business Hack, you can charge more money because author has more credibility, right? It's an authority expert status. Number 4, you look at how much time you've actually spent upskilling yourself. So, for example, on a regular basis, I go on seminars, and these seminars are anything from 3 to 5 day seminars. I remember one time I had to fly to Thailand and spend 5 days training how to learn how to speak, or I had to fly to Chicago and spend 5 days there, and fly to San Diego and spend another 5 days there. My point to you is that there's all these trainings, even stage time, having experience. Like, a lot of people say, well, I've got 20 years experience, but they may be doing it like once a week. But if you do it once every single day, it's equivalent to 20 years experience. Well, not quite, but you get the metaphor on what I'm trying to say. The longer you do things, the more experience you have, and your experience compounds. And it compounds in such a way where you get things done faster and quicker, and that becomes what you call intellectual property, your IP. So your IP means that you can charge for your IP. Look at McDonald's. They have a way of flipping burgers really fast and frying fries and having this whole system set up, and it costs you like $500,000 to $1 million just for one of these franchises. That's their IP. Number 5 is you're a master, so they need to pay for that. There's a saying that says, when the student is ready, the master will show. So what do I mean by the student is ready, the master will show? Meaning that when you become a master of this, apparently it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. So my question to you is, how long have you been doing it for? Because some of the best people in the world, they've been doing it for longer than 10,000 hours. A lot of people say to me, John, like, when you're speaking, I think you're quite good at speaking. Could you teach me how to speak? That's because I spent actually over that. I think it's like close to 15 years on stage of presenting. And I started when I was 23 years old and a little bit older now. And I started doing it and I started practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. And just even during lockdown, it's almost like every day I'm doing a keynote speech, I'm doing a speaking presentation, which is quite insane. Like the more practice you get, the better you get. Then when you master it, then it's kind of like when you work with someone who's a brain surgeon, they've got a PhD, right? That's kind of what we get in formal education. But from our self-education, formal education makes you a living, self-education makes you a fortune. So it's all these skills that we acquire that we put into our brain. That's what stacks and that's what upskills ourselves, and that's why we can charge more money. The more skills we have, the more we can charge. I really hope you got some value from this. If you want, I'll be creating videos on a regular basis. If you don't want to miss out on the new videos, hit the subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you don't miss out on the new videos. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, subscribe to the podcast, and do me a favor, hit the like buttons as well and share it with other people. And do me a favor and leave a comment below for any questions that you've got, and I'd love to answer those for you. This is John Lee, the author of Business Hack. Bye for now.